Okay, hey, I want to go on the record and say everything I say tonight stays on the podcast. It's
What do you think,
2026.
Eric? What do you say? For you, not for Drew. I just so that the editor knows, the producers know when we say, "Hey, take that out," that it's not real.
It's not real. Keep it all in.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
I'm
a safe word.
I'm coming for blood.
I have a safe word, and I'm not going to tell you what the safe word is. So, just so you know how dedicated I am,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Here's a question. Are we just raw dogging this whole bitch? Like,
Kinda. Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed Podcast, a podcast by people who love movies, people, and the magic that lives where they meet. Alrighty, welcome back to another episode, everyone. We are going to do our best here to be actually sweet and condensed, and I know I tricked you the last time because that's what I said, but then Eric and I decided to yap forever. The producers almost fired us over it. We're on a pip, so we're going to get through this episode real great. We're chatting the one and only, the Marty Supreme, Christmas Day. If you're a part of the movement, if you're a part of the whole shebang, more power to you. I'm super stoked. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. If we're already getting into spoilers here, but we are going to spoil this whole movie, so go ahead and listen to this and have everything spoiled, or go watch the movie and then listen to this again. You guys ready for this? What are your guys' first thoughts about Marty Supreme, other than, yes, I loved it? Go ahead. Josh loved it. Go ahead.
well, I thought you were gonna say we're talking with the one and only New Mexico Drew because he hasn't been on in a year, but you fucking hate him apparently. So,
Hey,
it was crazy he didn't get an introduction. Welcome back, New Mexico Drew. Since Josh was so rude, coming all over Timothée Chalamet, can't even think straight. Welcome back on the pod.
that is insane. Call me Elio.
We're grateful
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Okay, one, if Kelly's going to skip out on this episode, someone's got to be the Kelly energy here. That's all I was doing. It was a bit, Gotta give.
We're testing to see if she's listening to the pod too.
Wait. I mean, Eric is clearly bringing the Kelly energy with his passive-aggressive jokes, masked as sincerity.
See, here's the thing. We are grateful that Drew has graced us with his presence because he didn't watch a lot of movies this year. He didn't come on the podcast this year. Where, we were waiting for his 2-week notice at a certain point. So we're just grateful he's back. Because here's why. I called him out on a couple of episodes. We'll see if he tunes into the recent one. Was it the most recent one that I said some shit?
Train Dreams, I think.
It wasn't
It was
bad.
bad.
No,
I
it
can't
wasn't.
remember.
You son of a bitch.
Anyways,
Not only is this upsetting because you talk shit, but it is also upsetting because I clearly have not listened to that episode yet.
he's like, yeah, how dare you? Whatever it is you said.
You asshole. I'm going to be so offended when I hear what you said.
I was expecting you guys just did
In
like a
6
side
months.
text. I was like, oh, I guess they didn't want to bring the drama to the group text, to the work text.
Bitch, I literally log on and Eric said, oh, since you gave up on Letterboxd and I haven't seen you in a year, Jesus Christ, man. And look, you know what? And, I literally had a little goal written down, log more movies on Letterboxd, and then I have my very supportive friends coming in and just lifting me up like the air under my wings, I love it.
That was your goal from last year? Because fuck.
Shut up. No, it wasn't.
It's
It's 2026. It's a new
2026. It's a new year. And you're right. We got to start off a little better. Welcome to the show once again, New Mexico Drew. He's got big goals, ambitions. His pip includes so many cool things about his presence and being on the pod. Eric is also on thin ice, but that's for other reasons that he'll disclose later. But Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Racism.
Once again, how are we feeling about Marty Supreme and racism?
I was just about to say, speaking of racism, Marty Supreme was heavy-handed. I did not expect that throughout the movie.
It was shocking.
But I have to say one thing. I just watched it. Literally, it came home 2 hours ago. And it was one of the funnier movies I've seen in a while. Like, I was cackling. Everybody was talking about Uncut Gems energy. Sure, maybe because of Safdie being at the helm and, good times. I know we didn't even do the Letterboxd description, but it was directed by Josh Safdie. Maybe Josh will interject here in a little bit and do his job and, do the Letterboxd description. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. But I get it, maybe, because Marty Supreme had a couple of intense chase scenes through the street, but it was full-blown comedy. Yes, there was some heavy, but I was dying with the people in my theater today. And it was at Flixbrew, and Flixbrew is not a great theater experience usually. People are munching on their wings, but it was like a last-minute showing I had to just sneak into. Huh?
Continue.
masturbating.
What?
I loved it. Loved it. And I just have to say, speaking of Josh Safdie and Uncut Gems, who is the basketball player? Is Kevin Garnett?
Yeah.
Look at Tyler, the Creator. I freaking loved his time on screen in this. So like non-actors necessarily put on a show. And what's his name? Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank?
Shark Tank guy?
Oh,
Shark
Kevin
Tank guy?
O'Leary?
You just get Kevin O'Leary.
Incredible.
Kevin O'Leary. I mean, just loved it. Anyways, y'all go ahead.
You're right.
Josh, I know you're busting at the seams.
I am busting the seams, and you're right. My bad. Let me do my job. Marty Supreme, Letterboxd description says, dream big in 1950s New York. Marty Mauser, a young man with a dream no one respects, goes to hell and back in the pursuit of greatness. Not one mention of ping pong in that description. This movie is, obviously starring Timothée Chalamet, but it also has some powerhouse. I thought the support, which we'll get to more, was just so incredible in this movie. Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa A'zion, Kevin O'Leary, Tyler, the Creator, Abel Ferreira, Fran Drescher, Emery Cohen. There's just there's a lot of people here. Even David Mamet is in this. Anyways, there was a lot more people in this movie, even as you can tell me reading this list of people that I was surprised at, but people were so much their character that I forgot that they were even in the world of, say, Shark Tank or rapping. But it's directed by Josh Safdie. Josh Stock's going way up, and written by Josh Safdie and one of his writing partners, Ronald Bronstein. So here we have a contender. I think it was one of the best. I mean, even before it even came out, I was hearing his best movie of the year. But what was, Drew, what was your immediate reaction to this? Did you get to see this in a Flix Brewhouse too? Or was it a Regal? Did you cheat?
Ooh,
Did you cheat on Nicole Kidman?
I did. Sorry, Saint Nicole, please don't listen. But I went to a Cinemark.
Oh,
It's called Tinseltown. Yeah, Tinseltown Cinemark, which it leaves a lot to be desired from the outside. Looks pretty run down, pretty like much the best years are behind it. Inside was like a very nice and clean like pizza joint from the late 90s or early 2000s. Very warm and homey vibe inside there, but it was clean. So that was nice. And I was sitting with some lovely people in my row. I think there was like a father and a daughter there, which I felt very uncomfortable for them during the mini sex scenes. I had like tangential discomfort on their behalf, even though I was perfectly fine. But yeah, the movie going experience was great. I'm glad that I watched it in the theaters. What I appreciated about it was the fact I don't think I'm as hyped as everybody. I don't really know what is. I think it was really good, but I'm not like, oh my god. Like I think I had more fun with Timothée Chalamet's marketing campaign leading up to it than I did the actual movie. But what I appreciated about it was I had no idea any of the things that happened that had nothing to do with ping pong were going to happen. And so, Eric, I thought it more of Good Time. I felt, but it's interesting that you say that, because if you take Adam Sandler's character from Uncut Gems, you take Robert Pattinson from Good Time, and you take Timothée Chalamet, it's basically the exact same thing. He's like saying, let me take this man who has this absolutely otherworldly desire to get something done. I think the other two, one was from desperation. That's Robert Pattinson, right? Like he's doing a heist. Adam Sandler's was probably from an addiction. And Timothée Chalamet's was like this, I'm cursed with a purpose. And it's just like, what are these men willing to do this? And it is really just one horrible, uncomfortable situation after another. And I think you're right, though. This one had so much more levity to it. And I really appreciated that. And there was, the comedy that was there was incredible. I also think, and this is kind of saying something, because Adam Sandler, R-Pat, those are some beasts. But I think Timothy, to give him his flowers, he really carried it as far as his just charisma. I do think there is that meta narrative, though, that I've seen out there that is really intriguing. It's like, was Timothée Chalamet even acting? You know what I mean? Or was he just being Timothée Chalamet up there? Because you're kind of like, It didn't. I don't know. There was a lot of just like the energy he brings in these press tours and these things. Like I just saw a lot of it in Marty Supreme, especially in light of the kind of comments that he's made that this was his best performance and he's been doing amazing performances and all these other things, which I'm all about. I'm all about like, hey man, speak your truth, believe in yourself, feel yourself. That's cool. But I did think the things that like stuck out. I loved the way it was shot. I loved the music. I loved how it was set in the 50s, but it was like 1980s heavy synth, vibes going on. Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was really fun. Tyler the Creator was a standout for me. I think the dude, he's never acted before and just killed it. So, yeah, man, I thought like best movie of the year. I don't even think it's in my top 5 if I'm being honest. For me personally, but it was fun. The other thing I thought about though, it is interesting how similar it looked as far as just like textures to the Smashing Machine. It was almost like the Safdie brothers were like, "Hey, like we've got this idea for the way we want our movies." One was set in the 90s and one was set in the 50s, but they like the texture and the feel was very, very similar. I liked them both. So I just thought that was like a random interesting thing.
Speaking of, I promise I'll let you talk about it, Josh, in a second. The comparison between the movies is I was thinking about Uncut Gems and, like you said, Robert Pattinson, A Good Time. I didn't like Marty Supreme's character for the first act. I wasn't a fan of his. He bugged. I was loving the movie. He bugged me. And it took, as far as like, so I don't know, I appreciated that. I don't know if it was because it was Adam Sandler and because it was Robert Pattinson, like their characters didn't take long for me to, like they were, if I remember Good Times correctly, his character did some pretty questionable things with a minor. So I'm not, maybe, I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. But anyways, not that I was condoning what either of them were doing, but it took me a minute to buy into Marty Supreme's character within the movie in the sense of like, I almost wasn't rooting for him because he was just like this piece of shit, but I loved it. I don't know if that makes sense, because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I love this character," but he bothered me in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's funny. I was chatting with one of my friends, so I got to see this. I saw this on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Regal did not send their Marty Supreme popcorn buckets to Albuquerque apparently, and I'm very, very devastated. So that was a big bummer. But outside of that, both my experiences were great. The first one was in the AMC. The second time was at that Regal. But the second time I watched it, shout out Gus. I was talking with Gus, and we were saying about similar to what you were saying. Like, he's such this big piece of shit, but somehow, whether it's Marty Supreme or Timothée Chalamet or how they combined or became one, it's annoying how like charismatic and charming that this piece of shit person can still be. Like, one terrible decision after another. Let's not take the dog to the vet. Let's, this is my childhood best friend. We love each other, but they're married to someone else. Let's still sleep together. Like, let's tell Kevin O'Leary's character that I even forget his name. What was his name in the movie? Something Rockwell. Something Rockwell.
Well, the Rockwells.
The Rockwells,
Yeah.
right? And he tells him to fuck off, even though it's like, dude, that's a free trip to Japan. It's money for Japan. You owe money. So like, he still continue makes these terrible decisions, and yet he still like woos everybody. Like, Gwyneth Paltrow still wants to hook up with him, and Rachel, that's her name, right? His childhood best friend. Rachel still keeps going back to him no matter how shitty he is. And the friend and the dad who are investing in Marty Supreme orange ping pong balls, they still go to levels of investing and building the balls and all that stuff. But yeah, he's still an annoying, arrogant piece of shit. But that's even on the outside. Like, as a viewer, I'm like, these characters keep getting drawn to him, but so am I. Like, I'm still, like you're saying, it's like, am I rooting for him or am I not rooting for him? But I'm invested. Anyways, fascinating character. I think I agree with what you were saying. Like, I do think there's Safdie brother energy, like Uncut Gems, but it's just the anxious, like, domino effect. Everything else, like the levity, because I was fully like, oh no, this dude's gonna die. Like, that gangster dude with the dog's gonna shoot him, stab him, do something horrible at the end. He's gonna die. But he did it, and he ended like way more uplifting. And so, yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I was so shocked the first time I watched it by hearing the dialogue, and the theater was laughing, but like out of like, holy shit, more of a, did they really just say that? Like, the amount of just racist jokes and comments and just his blatant, like, almost just does not care. But at the same time, I did think it was pretty cool when it was the scene where he's talking to his friend who gets him into the Harlem Globetrotters, and he buys the dinner for Kevin O'Leary's table, and he comes over and he starts chatting with them, and he mentions the tattoo of the numbers on his arm, and Kevin O'Leary or Rockwell was like, oh, I lost my life trying to because trying to liberate your people, like saying this horrible thing about like my son died because we were trying to save you, which was such an insane, insensitive, multi-millionaire, billionaire thing to say, right? Timothy or Marty Supreme was actually the one who said, "Hey, tell him this story. Tell him that story about how your bunkmates licked honey off of you." And I thought that was like, I was like, he's over here saying this outlandish shit like 2-3 scenes before that were like really racist, but then here he's almost like, "Hey, I hear what you just said, being anti-Semitic, but now I'm gonna tell him this story." Like he leads him into this like pushback against it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I don't know. There was this both and, I guess, with that character of like, is he like, he does care about his friends and his people, and even through his terrible, horrible decisions, which I'm not sure if Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems was so much like that. But overall, though, dude, yeah, I loved it. I'm biased, though. You guys all know it. I was going to give this movie a 7 before. Like, that was baseline 7. That's where we started. And it exceeded. It went, top 5 movies for me. But that being said, okay, performances, we talked a little bit about performances and how it looked in scenes. I described just the scene. Eric, what about you? What are some of the like standout performances and what are some of the like standout scenes?
One thing I learned in the last 20 minutes is that Luke Manley has never acted before. He's the childhood friend whose dad, he and his dad were invested in him. He's never acted. Like his claim to fame was he was a barstool competitor for one of their social media challenges. That sort of thing is what makes a movie like this to me special, is all those side characters like we talked about that didn't really have large roles. How the creator had his short amount of time, blew it out of the water. So this guy, Luke Manley, in those short moments with like, that was one of the funniest scenes for me when they steal his dad's car. Okay, yeah, we're doing spoilers, right? To go look for the dog, get back, and he's like, "Hey, we were in a fender bender." Like that whole scene, the way that this kid is reacting to him makes that scene special. He's never acted before, and here he is, right? But okay, so they get into the room and again, this kid thinks it's Marty's sister the whole time, and she looks at him when they're arguing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's his." His face has this moment of like, "Wait, I thought this was your sister." It was the fucking funniest thing. And again, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's hilarious. This kid's never acted, but just on his face, he displayed this like, I just loved it. I don't know, there's this old dude sitting next to me. We watched it solo today.
Hell yeah.
And shout out to him. He wasn't eating. So we just had like a normal experience. We didn't even have waters on our tables. But we were just dying. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, when you like, you're laughing, you feel the laughter next to you, and you look and you're like, hell yeah. Now we made eye contact. It's a little weird, but now we're laughing together. But I loved that moment. So I looked up who this kid was. And again, Luke Manley, non-actor. That was one of my favorite scenes. And then also when Rachel first came to him with a black eye and he gets mad and goes with his trophy and hits the husband over the head and stands over him and says, "Shame on you." I don't know why I laughed and the audience did not. Maybe not the right scene, but just like the idea that he wasn't like, "Fuck you, like you piece of shit." He said, "Shame on you," which is like how you talk to a dog almost. And so I used to work for this guy, Gary, real rough human being. Gary, if you ever hear this, like, sorry, dude, you got some work to do. But you talk to his dogs like that. Shame on you. Shame on you. And so that's what I heard when I watched that. It was just hilarious to me. So anyways, yeah, performance is awesome. Great scenes.
Drew, I love that. Really quick, Eric, did you see how Josh Safdie found that guy, the friend from?
No, how?
He went off on some rant. He was just interviewed after a Knicks game, so he was outside of the arena after a Knicks game and just went off and was just talking so much shit about the Knicks, and it went viral on Barstool Sports. And Josh Safdie is a huge Knicks fan, and he saw it and was like, "That guy's amazing," and like that's how they met, and that's like what led to him getting cast. Yeah. So, sometimes our yaps and our rants, we just got to let the people see them, because you never know where it's going to lead.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think standout performances, of course, Timothée was just amazing. But yeah, it is wild. Besides, it is cool, like the point you guys made about like a lot of these already not traditional actors or non-actors, like how well they did. And maybe that's just a nod to how well Josh Safdie directed them. You know what I mean? How comfortable he made them feel, and just how he kind of brought them, because it was It was very, I never got taken out of it. And as we've been talking, I've been thinking about it. And like, maybe I need to give this movie a little bit more credit in my mind because I was never taken out of the movie. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it skipped a beat. There was never a point where I was like, oh man, F this, or I zoned out, or you know what I mean? And I'm just like, man, it's tough to make movies that good. And yeah, everything from the random side characters of the dude who gets his arm decimated by Marty Supreme's bathtub with the dog, or you know what I mean, whoever. I just think that like everybody did such a good job. I also loved the twist of Rachel actually low key being like a scumbag, like because you know what I mean. Like it is kind of like lib bait to be like, trust the woman, you know what I mean? Like she's gonna be strong and independent. She wouldn't do that. And she's like, no, I was for real trying to trap you. You know what I mean? I mean, granted that was his baby, but it was pretty cool that like when the makeup smears and you're like, oh my God, you low key are super toxic. And that's amazing. You know what I mean? I was just like, I kind of love that. But she did a really, really good job. You know, yeah, everybody, even the random uncle who was just like for whatever reason trying to make Marty the manager of the shoe shop, like those interactions, the random New York cops. I don't know. I think I'll forever love just a hardcore New Yorker. You know what I mean? Just like what did he say? What does he say? He's like, yeah, you know, your nephew's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah. You know,
He's like tucking in his shirt, like
Start talking about roast beef versus pastrami sandwiches. It's like, let's talk about deli meats.
Yeah, that will forever be incredible to me. I will forever love that. One thing I did want to mention though, I'm going off topic and I'm sorry. One thing I appreciated was I mentioned how like this movie went in directions like I never thought it would go. I also love that Josh Safdie brought in the like 1980s tropes of like, you know, like Rocky, like it's the American versus the Russian, and it's like who's gonna win. It's like, you know, the good of America versus the evil of China. And it's pretty wild now because now Japan is like our ally and we love Japan, but obviously back then they were not. And it was pretty cool how he played into that, but didn't make it he didn't make that the main point, right? Like when he goes to Japan to do that you know, that fake match, and you have all the American, I don't know, dudes in the Air Force or Army, whatever service of the brand, you know, military they're in, but they're Americans and they're stoked going for Marty. And there's all these Japanese people obviously are so invested in their like, you know, champion player and all this stuff. And so that was pretty cool how they, how they did that. I appreciated that. It's kind of fun, a fun way to like give you something you're really familiar with, but not do the super predictable thing. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, dude.
That was the Lord muting your ass.
Eric, stop talking.
enough. You said you never got taken out of it, and the crowd. I was thinking about the scene where Rachel tells Homeboy it was not his baby, and when they open the door and just a line of aunts and grandmas just like ready to like, do you need, it was Marty's mom. It was like, do you need help? I love that. So I think that's a good point that you bring up of like, there are so many times in movies where there is a side story that you might not really care about Rachel and her husband's marital spout. Like you're interested in her when she's with Marty, but those little things, I love that. I love seeing that crowd. It was so short, but it's those little things that like, yeah, the New York cop, right? And the uncle. Why are we bought into that scene of the sandwich discussion? I don't know.
Dude,
It's just
it was so
time.
cool to see again. New York, some New York movies or movies based in cities are really cool for me, but when they become a character in the little things, it's just so cool. Like you're saying, this whole family lives in the same apartment complex and there's a line of them, you know, coming, oh, what's going on? They all share a phone line. Like that is why, you know, these things about that I have never experienced in 1950s New York, because obviously I was still a sperm, but like, I think that seeing this world where that I didn't experience, like, it's like, oh yeah, I was like, how does anyone call anybody? Like there's one phone line and everyone's listening in but then it's all family. It was a very fascinating thing. Like you're saying, it's for brief moments that bring so much character to this movie. And, but yeah, I was a big fan of, you know, Drew already talked about Odessa and I thought she was great, but yeah, Kevin O'Leary to me, I was like so surprised, like how good he was at playing that character. And sure, maybe he wasn't acting because again, Josh Safdie was like casting. He's like, I need the asshole millionaire guy, and then you're perfect for it. That was like kind of his pitch, and it's like that should be offensive. But I guess to someone like Kevin O'Leary, he's like, hell yeah, I think I can do that. So he goes and does this thing. He, you know, I thought he did just such a stellar job for having so much screen time too. But to the similar to that gentleman you were talking about who plays Luke Manley, who plays Dion. Dude, Lloyd, the guy who works at the shoe store at the beginning, small role. He's the one that Timothy, again, going back to why Timothy, or how Timothy woos people. His uncle's going to make him manager, and he's a shitty person. He doesn't even want the job. Lloyd's really good. Lloyd's there. He's in the background, and he gets overlooked. And then, you know, how Marty uses that to get him to open the safe. But so Ralph, his name's Ralph Colucci, but he sent, I heard on a podcast somewhere, he sent, I think, casting directors to a sports betting, like a horse racing event, and they found him there. And that's how they casted him. And I think that this just is so cool that he was more concerned about the look and the feel and the character of every person. And it's going to be in the 1950s, looking for someone who's very unique, looking to the 1950s. And I just thought that Ralph guy who played Lloyd was like, so I was like, oh yeah, I believe this New York guy working in a shoe store. And that whole scene cracked me up. Like, where he robs him and he's like, you're not going to shoot me. And, you know, and then he's like, this is a real gun. Tell him this. That was hilarious. And I thought Lloyd did great for, again, not being an actor and just being in there because he got plucked out of a crowd at a racetrack. But I thought one of the two most memorable scenes, bathtub, did not expect that at all. The bathtub falling through the fucking ground. Insane. And then two, to what Drew was talking about, the ending with the exhibition between Japan and America, Marty versus Endo, I thought was so great. Like I can remember, not just because of the ping pong, but there was just so much going on when it came to Marty's acting, or Timothy's acting, when he's like, loser's gonna kiss a pig, and he like looks at Rockwell and is like, what the fuck? Like his expression with his face killed me. And it's this almost a similar face when Kevin O'Leary gives that whole I'm a vampire speech and I've been around since 1601 and blah, blah, blah. Marty's looking at him like, what the fuck? Like his face acting in that whole last sequence was so great, but it just brought in so many things, like the dream and him being there, but then them wearing white shirts and the whole scene about him saying you can't track the ball, everyone shouldn't. But then him and Endo are wearing white shirts when he wins. So like, there's a part of me that thought like, wait, did he really, like he won? I know that, but like, he talked about how you can't track the ball in the shirt. Did Endo have a hard time tracking the ball? This wasn't an official match. Like, anyways, I just think it was really cool because Josh Safdie said, I think it was on the Big Picture podcast, it could have been on another one. He said that this movie's a heist movie, that Marty is stealing a dream. And I just thought that I didn't think about this movie as a heist movie. But when he said that, and then even how he got to the final thing, the way he got there, how he ended up going off script, and he just, you know, demanded a one-on-one. I just thought that was like, it kind of brought everything together, and it made me think a lot, because I was like, they're both wearing white. Do you think that, because otherwise than that, what was the point of that conversation about the ball tracking and the orange ball? And, you know, anyways, I don't know if that was intentional, but before we close up, some of the last things, because I know you guys are music folk, and Drew, you mentioned the music was awesome. I feel like that was like a really cool part of this movie. What are some thoughts about the needle drops and the sound for this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were really cool. I did watch an interview with the guy who composed the movie, and I think his thoughts were, so I don't know, this is not an original thought, and I did see this before I watched the movie, so that was a little bit like it, you know, colored my view. But his whole thing, I think he said to some extent, was the movie was based in the 50s, but just like that 80s era energy, you know what I mean, was just very indicative. It was more about like this is more thematically on point than if we were to try to go make some 1950s music to make it more, you know, accurate to the timepiece. Like I think it was one of those things where it's like the execution and end product is actually more accurate to Marty Supreme and the story of Marty Supreme. And I just thought that was really cool. And I thought it was really sweet to see, like, 1950s taxis, you know, people reading newspapers and little spectacles, but with like, you know, Tears for Fears in the background. I thought that was really cool. And also a really cool way to get all these young cinephiles into some cool older music that they probably would never have heard any other time. You know what I mean? So I thought it was really good. I really liked it.
Eric, do you have any thoughts about music?
No, I agree. I think that's interesting because I hadn't heard that from the gentleman who composed it, but like it doesn't have to be accurate to the time the movie's set in as long as it
Hmm.
helps tell the story, right? Like I think I
Hmm.
love that. I love that idea. Um, I think I don't like a lot of period piece movies like, and that is maybe one thing I appreciate about this is it didn't feel that. I get it. Value of the dollar, everything about it, you know, costume design, everything was fit. Like I totally understand that, but it didn't feel that way. And so I don't know. And that might be the wrong cinephile thing to say. But so I appreciate that the composer felt that you don't need to
Hmm.
have time accurate music to tell the story, because it's not who Marty Supreme is. So I love that.
That's funny. I didn't think about that. And the dollar signs first, or the dollar amounts was throwing me off. I was like, $1,500 bill. How much is that?
Big time.
He had $700
Yeah.
from his uncle. How much is that? Like, I was thinking about that. Took me out more than it wasn't out of the movie. It just took me out of the story, I guess, because I was like trying to figure out, doing math and stuff.
Do the math.
But dude,
Yeah.
the intro, screen credits and the outro, so insane, but so good with the sperm swimming at the beginning with that what because the
Yeah.
Forever Young song and what was the other one that they played is the beginning and end, or maybe they played both. But anyways, fantastic.
Yeah. It was, I think yeah. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just great,
So,
great,
but Tears for Fears. So
great music. Oh, that's Tears. See, I'm not the music person. I sound like an idiot right now, but Drew, that's why we're happy
See, I
to have
missed
you
the
back.
first like
You
5
missed
minutes,
it?
so I didn't see that. I missed the first 5
Oh.
minutes.
dude, oh, let's spoil it for you.
Misconception.
Homegirl Rachel comes into the shoe shop pretending to be a client, and she's like, "Hey, I think I left my shoes in a shoebox. You showed me these things," and so Marty takes her to the basement and rails her, and then literally as he's about to climax, it cuts to an animation, or not animation, like looks like microscopic footage of sperm, literal sperm cells swimming through a uterus on the way to an egg, to
That
the
is
soundtrack of
insane.
kids in a choir singing Forever Young.
Oh shit! I'm so sad.
You got to go back.
Yeah. But what's crazy,
Yeah, I have to.
also, I got to believe that my boy Safdie did this on purpose. But dude, the egg looks like the orange ping pong, right? And doesn't it graphic match to it? Doesn't it graphic match
Yeah,
to the orange ping
'cause-
pong? Like it's the egg and the sperm gets in, and then it cuts to Timothée Chalamet like talking about a ping pong ball.
No, I thought it was the ball floating through the air and it says Marty Supreme and then it bounces on the table because he's playing ping pong with
Okay, there you go.
with
Yes.
Tyler the Creator.
Tyler the Creator.
Yeah,
Yep, like this.
like this.
Like he's cooking up stir fry. Yes, I knew. Okay, you saw it twice, and it clearly left a mark on you, Josh. So I trust your judgment.
Okay, are you guys recommending this? Is this rewatchable? We're gonna close here, but is that this you said it wasn't your top 5, Eric? Where's this land for you?
I was actually struggling thinking of my top 10 earlier.
Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that.
Oh, you big time
You said it's
that.
not in your top 5.
You can't fucking prove that.
Rework it in real time.
Wait, check the utility bill in his house. That gaslighting is fucking insane.
Just Jackson.
Dude, you guys convinced me. Okay, this is kind of like Subway takes. You know what I mean? Where I say 100% disagree at the beginning of the thing. I'm like, fuck, man, maybe I agree. After we talked about it a lot, I'm like, maybe it is. Maybe it is top 5. I don't know. It might not be still.
I say 110% go see it in the theater. I just had a good time in mine. Like I normally don't enjoy. I like Flix Brew. This isn't bad. I'm not trying to talk bad about Flix Brew, but like the crowd usually isn't. They'd rather eat their wings. This was so yes, go see it in the theater. Highly recommend watching this.
Yeah, I think it's rewatchable. I think see it in theater, see it no matter what. I think the reason why it's arguably my number 1 movie on Letterboxd. It is my number 1 movie right now. And I think the reason why is, don't get me wrong, like I love commentary, I love messages, I love like the other movies that I really love is One Batter After Another, Sinners. Those are also, I think, all my top 3, top 4.
Was that a baseball movie? One batter after another?
One Battle After Another. Did I slur?
You said
Drew,
one
I'm sorry,
batter.
he's into hockey. He's into
Sorry,
hockey
it's
now, not
I'm
baseball.
into hockey right now, so we are, the words are getting mixed up. But I would just say my final thought was just that it's a movie. Like it was movie magic. Like it didn't feel like again, I think that all movies, messaging, and I get you have a platform to say something cool. Like One Battle After Another has a great message. I love that movie. It's fucking hilarious. this movie was like a movie. Like it made me feel like, I was like, this is stressful. Why are we making a movie about a shitty person? But it was like, you know, intention, obstacle, and then that final movie or the final scene where he's just freaking bawling at the side of his baby. That was just so, I just felt so good. Like I was like, fuck yeah, this is a movie. I'm enjoying it. It's a story. I don't need to leave and think about like, you know, all the secret messaging, even though I'm maybe there is stuff in there. I have no idea, but I enjoyed it a whole lot. Big fan. The end.
It's literally your number one in your top 4 right now.
It was my number
not just in
one
your 2025.
even before. Well, no, it's my fave 4 on Letterboxd is the past 4 years. So it's 2025, 2024. So it's Anora, 2023, Saltburn, 2022, Everything Everywhere at Once.
You know what? I know we're trying to wrap up,
Annoying.
but I just think that this really hits a wide range of audiences. Like, I think a lot of different people are going to enjoy this movie or have enjoyed this movie where this is just maybe wrong and it's a whole nother discussion, but a lot of times to me, a really well done movie doesn't resonate with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like, what's that one movie you watched, Josh, earlier this year? He said it was just pretentious as shit.
Excuse me? An
with
enemy?
Daniel, yes. I'm sure it was fine, but the general
right
movie going population probably. So anyways, yeah, I think this would, like, if you like movies, see this one.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Sweet and Condensed. We had a blast talking Marty Supreme. We could probably talk about Marty Supreme for another hour, but we do got to close. And so what would help us talking for an hour on all the episodes is by liking, sharing, share this with a friend, share it with the Marty Supreme folks out there. Go to our sweetandcondensed.com, subscribe to the newsletter, give us your money, blah, 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 all those good things. And we will see you on another episode here shortly, hopefully with New Mexico Drew, and hopefully not with Eric. Peace.
Hey, what's crazy? Hey, peace. My internet didn't go out.